And welcome to a degenerate Friday edition of Bury Your Bookie. I'm Jeff DeForrest, and we're bringing in relief out of the bullpen because I have just buried everybody this week. Gave out 4 games so far on the program. Now, we could be one of those guys that backtracks. We suggested, very tepidly so, that you take the 12.5 points with the New York Jets last night. And this was in the wake of losing both of our plays that we gave you on Tuesday, going down the tubes with Akron, who lost to Kent State in overtime, laying 5 on a hook, going down the tubes with the Philadelphia 76ers with no Joel Embiid, who did prevail by 2 points in their game against the Boston Celtics, but nonetheless failed to cover the 3.5 points that we suggested that they would be able to do. Got totally duped in the basketball game we gave out on Wednesday night, as we thought the Miami Heat, after prevailing by 2 points in overtime over the Cleveland Cavaliers on a Monday night game, would take advantage of the fact that the Cavs were still in town on Wednesday and probably a little banged up from partying because, let's face it, Cleveland, Miami, nightlife, social life for an NBA player, literally, I mean, no comparison no matter who you are. And we thought that might exhaust the Cleveland Cavaliers on top of the fact they were resting all of their key players. And, of course, instead of covering a 6-point spread, we get shellacked and lose outright by 14. So, and then last night, we don't want to backtrack and say, well, the game went off at 13, so it was actually a push for us. We don't do that here. We went down in flames once again, like a knife in your back. It was the half point, the dagger that did us in as the Patriots managed to tack on a field goal, and we were desperately trying to cling to what would have been a cover into the fourth quarter in that ball game, but ended up losing. So 0-4. I don't know, Professor. You said you were getting touched up a little bit yourself. How are you, my friend?
Well, anybody who's watched this show knows it has not been a great year.
Overall,
I mean, honestly, I'm gonna say we're off to a decent start in hoops.
Okay.
So that has saved the last couple of weeks a little bit. But yeah, I mean, look, the only solace I can take, I've been saying it for a few weeks, is that everybody I know who I consider pretty sharp on college football is having a rough season. Like the results are all over the place. Obviously, this offseason we're gonna have to re-examine the formula a little bit for the NIL and transfer portal era. But yeah, I mean, it's been a rough year, and last weekend wasn't a lot better, not just in terms of the action, but in terms of just like we finally thought we were going to rid ourselves of this Indiana menace, and what happens? They get a last second miracle catch against
Yeah.
a rotten Penn State team to squeak out a win, but not a cover. Honestly, that Iowa Oregon game was brutal, no matter which side you were on. Because Oregon didn't cover, and if you were Iowa, you probably walked away thinking you were going to get a hit on the money line, but Oregon, gets that last second field goal. And for myself personally, just like a triple kick in the nards, because uh, Miami got exactly the week it would have needed to get back in the playoff picture, except they lost that second stupid game to SMU in overtime.
Yep.
So there's basically no hope of that either. So, and meanwhile, a Notre Dame team that Miami beat continues to roll on against a bunch of Sallies. Ooh, they beat up on Navy in the snow. I mean, like, with Navy's backup quarterback, by the way, and keep going up every week further and higher into the playoff rankings, despite a head-to-head loss to Miami and a head-to-head loss to Texas A&M.
Surprisingly, it's being featured as one of the marquee games with Notre Dame, of course, and their worldwide popularity, which I don't share, but because I root for them to lose every game, and I'm with you 1,000%. How did they not call and throw a flag on Rudy when he was blatantly offsides in that game? That was absolutely ridiculous. We're screaming. I don't know if you got thrown out of a theater also, but
I did.
I'm screaming, "Where's the flag?" And everybody says, "Sit down, you fat F." I mean.
Even in the movie, they clearly showed him being offsides.
Way offsides. I mean, what kind of officiating was that? I think that game.
I mean, I hate to say this, but they're actually pretty good. Like, I mean, as much as I want to take a crap on them, like they seem to have it rolling now. Again, they haven't played a lot. USC is probably their best win on the year, and the Trojans are okay, but they're not great. But they really seem to have it rolling on offense.
I know. I mean, that wasn't one of your games that you were going to select, but 12.5 over Pittsburgh. Did they cover that?
I mean, I'm going to say they will just because I've been wrong about everything, and hopefully that means I'll curse Notre Dame to a loss.
Yeah.
But yeah, forced to play that game, I would probably lean a little bit towards Notre Dame. I think Pittsburgh will score. Well, actually, what's the total on that game? That would probably be more where I'd be inclined would be to go over on that one.
All right. The total is
Probably like
53 and a
high
hook.
50s, low 60s.
No, it's not quite that high. I have it at 53 and a hook.
Okay, then we need to check the weather on that because the game's at Pittsburgh.
Yes.
All right, that the only thing I can think that would have a number that low would be unfortunate condition. Not really. I mean, oh, there's rain in the forecast.
There.
I would still probably line more towards the over than anything else. Actually, the rain's not till nighttime and it's a noon kickoff. So
All right.
I would probably lean towards the over. Pittsburgh can score. I mean, they've scored against some pretty decent defenses so far. And honestly, I don't think Notre Dame's defense is necessarily any great shakes. They're really more of an offensive team. So I would be inclined to go over.
All right. But that's not going to be one of your picks here as we try to keep track of exactly what kind of flamethrower.
It is not. And I will tell you before we get into that, let's talk some hoops here for a second because Defoe's kind of surprised me on a previous show. I was not planning on making any picks in college basketball. The more I look at one, the more I'm kind of digging this game, and that's Arizona at UCLA tonight. I'm trying to let me look up the television channel for you on that. That is 10 o'clock tip. Is it possible this isn't on television? I'm not seeing a TV listing with that, which is strange, but
kind of freezing up there a little bit.
First game of the year against Florida. They rolled the Gators pretty good, and then they've clobbered Utah Tech and Northern Arizona. Meanwhile, UCLA's 3-0, but they are not profiling particularly well. Only a 6-point win against Washington, only 11 against Pepperdine, and only 19 against West Georgia. I have never seen West Georgia play anything, but I can't imagine they have much of a basketball team. So I would say not a great start, and the Wildcats look to be off to a good season here. With that early win over Florida. So I think 3.5 is a pretty thin number. I know UCLA's coach has been very upset about the way they played in the early season. But at a number that thin, I would be inclined to take the Wildcats minus 3.5.
Okay. Any other college games that you like?
I can't find a number on the game tomorrow between BYU and UConn. Very interesting matchup, and BYU is another team off to a pretty good start. And weirdly high amount of talent. So I really can't predict where this number would be because it's a game at UConn. I would say if it's above 5.5, 6 points, I would be inclined to take BYU there. Beneath that, I'd probably pass because obviously UConn's got a good squad too. But I think BYU is pretty talented, and I like the way they play. The freshmen in particular, they got the number one prospect in the country, and he got off to a great start. So I would be inclined to take BYU if you can get more than 5.5 or 6 in that game. But I'm going to be honest here and say I have absolutely no clue where that number is going to end up.
All right, one of the marquee games on the college gridiron would be Alabama, who you have been, I guess, impressed with. You have to be after that loss to Florida State. They've turned things around. They're
again
number 4.
This is the most bizarre season ever in college football. If you watch that game in week 1, you would think Florida State was headed completely in the right direction and that Alabama was – honestly, I thought there was a chance Kalen DeBoer was going to get left in Tallahassee like USC did with Lane Kiffin. By the way, how weird is that the coach, everybody in the universe, is the guy USC left on the tarmac like 10 or 12 years ago? And
he was even mentioned for the Giants job as a
people. People think I'm exaggerating that story. That is a literal story. I think it was Arizona State, although it might have been Arizona. After a loss, USC would not let Lane Kiffin on the team playing. They were firing him right then and there at the airport.
Yeah.
And a decade later, he's everybody's lining up to give him $100 million plus to coach their football team. So weird reversal of fortune there.
No doubt.
But Yeah, Alabama again. A weird reversal of fortune to me. Ohio State's by far and away the most complete team in the country, offense, defense, special teams. Alabama's probably number two for me at this point. I know people like the Indiana football team, people like the Texas A&M football team. I think Alabama, in terms of both sides of the ball, is better than both of those teams. And they've been pretty reliable against the spread, including a cover last week. Not in the best conditions against LSU, and of course, we all know Baton Rouge at night is never an easy place. And them playing with their coach just being fired, people thought they were going to be emotional. I thought they did play a high emotion game on defense, which they've been doing all year. But Alabama comes out with the win and the cover in that one, and I think they'll get the cover again. I'm not sure really why this game's beneath the touchdown. I know there are people who are somewhat impressed with Oklahoma and think Oklahoma's a playoff team. I do not think that. Their defense is improved, but it's still not great. And I don't buy their offense the way some people do with Mateer at quarterback. He's more of a scrambler than he is a passer. I think against Alabama, he's going to have to make plays in the passing game, and I don't think he's got the arm to do that against the Alabama secondary. So we will take the Crimson Tide minus a 5.5.
Okay. You were looking at Ole Miss in Florida as well.
I mean, speaking of teams bouncing back off a coach firing, a lot of people thought Florida, despite a bad history at Kentucky, would go into Kentucky. Instead, they went in and looked like a football team that has just completely cashed it in on the season. I'm trying to remember what the final score was in that game, but they gave up just an absurd amount of points, 38 to a rotten Kentucky offense. To fall 3-6 in the year. I don't know if that completely kills off their bowl chances or not. I assume it does not. No, they could still win 3 games, but they ain't going to do it, particularly with Ole Miss playing with revenge on their minds after last year's upset in the swamp. Has basically cashed it in at this point. There isn't even people, I can't believe this, who want Lagway benched because he has not been. I mean, and you're talking about a guy at the beginning of the year they thought was going to be their whole future at the University of Florida. Turns out their future's like a lot like their past because he looks a lot like Anthony Richardson Part 2.
Yeah.
In that Gators offense. I think with Ole Miss having the playoff, I think, and they seem to have shrugged past the Lane Kiffin perhaps might not be in Oxford next year thing. They're playing for this season and they're playing for a playoff spot. It's a big number at 11 and a hook in an SEC matchup. It's a pretty huge number. But I think you can be pretty comfortable laying that as Ole Miss, particularly since they installed the running quarterback back week 2 or week 3 of the season. Really has it rolling offensively. I like the Rebels at home minus the 11 and a hook.
All right. And the final one that you were looking at on the college grid was Texas and Georgia.
This is a matchup we have played several times. We've talked about it in the past, in past seasons, and that is that Kirby Smart seems to just own Sark's soul as a defensive game planner against Sark's offense. This goes all the way back to when Sark was the OC at Alabama, and Kirby was obviously head coach, and he's not technically the DC at Georgia, but let's be honest, we all know they're playing a Kirby Smart defense at the University of Georgia, and Schumann is still there as their DC, although this is very likely his last year as Georgia's defensive coordinator. They have absolutely dominated Sark's offenses again and again, and those were Texas teams that came in looking a lot better than this Texas team does. I know there are people who think Texas is going to make a final push to the playoff. I don't agree with it. I don't think they at any point have really looked particularly good to me. They've won a couple. I mean, look, even last week when they beat Vanderbilt, they had to recover after really dominating the first 3 quarters of the game. They had to recover an onside kick with about 30 seconds left, and they didn't actually recover it. The Vandy guy got his hands on it. He just batted it out of bounds as he was trying to recover it. So they, even there under optimal situations, almost gave up that game. The way Kirby Smart has managed to out chess maneuver Sark over and over and over again, I don't think it's optimal situations. Number's a little bit bigger than I like at 6 and a hook. But I'm pretty comfortable with it with this particular Georgia team whose offense has been better than we expected and probably better than a lot of Georgia teams of recent vintage. You probably got to go back to that Stetson Bennett, Brock Bowers team 3 or 4 years ago to find a better Georgia offense than this one. So Bulldogs minus 6.5, and that will round out our week of eating the chalk in the SEC.
All right, we wanted to take a look at this, and we had this discussion earlier. Always a great feature of our show on Bleacher Brothers, probably named the Defo Show. We have our Degenerate Friday session, and the professor's a big part of it. And one of the features is the big board, and I thought it was particularly pertinent this week, so I wanted to share that with our Bury the Bookie viewers and listeners. It's a little more difficult as an audio only thing, which I believe is the case, believe it or not, on Believe. Which is BLEAV, and the show is shared with them as well as No Filter and whatever other platforms. But yeah, definitely with the game in Spain, first one ever in Spain, Madrid, Spain. They're setting the Miami Dolphins there as 2.5-point favorites. On a handicapping grid I saw that involved 10 guys in the New York Post, 8 out of 10 think the Dolphins will cover this point spread against a Washington Commander team that's in a brutal tailspin.
Someone just told me this. Apparently, the New York Post, if all the experts agree on a game, if you go the other way,
Yeah,
you're something like 70% historically.
it's possibly true. I mean, as you said, a lot of people are having lousy seasons, even people that have been relatively effective in the past at picking college football games. They're sitting there 15, 20, even in some cases 30 games under 500 so
Well,
far.
I'm glad I'm not the absolute worst then. I'm not that far under.
No, I mean, you're not even close. So there's always somebody in worse
I
shape.
might be, honestly, I might be close to 15 at this point, but I'm not 20 or 30.
Hey, I've had the worst week ever in terms of any kind of selections on any show I've ever done. But yeah, it's been a disaster. But the people that are going to be attending this game in Spain, and especially the Spanish people themselves, the
They
natives,
don't understand football.
they don't get it. Yeah, and you had some really timely and relevant advice on the big board this week for the Spanish fans that are being exposed to the game. I guess officially for the first time in terms of live action. This is the big board of the guide to football for Spaniards.
Right. We like to engage in cultural outreach here.
Yes,
So we just thought we'd take some time to explain to the people of Spain, to the people of Madrid, what football is all about.
yes.
Because you might not be familiar. And that starts with number 5. Football is a game for grown ass men, not children, not women, unlike that soccer that you like so much.
Yes.
Like, the best player in Spain is a 16-year-old. There's no way in hell the best player in the NFL could ever possibly be a 16-year-old. And if there's a sport that a 16-year-old dominates in American sports, we assume that sport is for children and women, not men.
Yeah, maybe on the X Games or something
Yeah,
like
like we've had child prodigy athletes before. Like I said, Shaun White won a gold medal at the
that.
Olympics in snowboarding when he was like 16 years old. And you know what the reaction was? Oh, yeah, that's sports for kids. You
Yeah,
didn't
sure.
see adults go out and try to snowboard after that. You didn't see grown men jumping on snowboards trying for the Olympic teams after. They were like, oh, yeah, he won a gold medal because it's a little kid sport.
Yeah. It wasn't like Jean Claude Keeley was going to show up on a snowboard.
Right? Our women's national team was great for a long time. You didn't see American dudes just jump in and try to play soccer after they're like, oh, the women are great at it. Must be because it's a women's sport.
Yeah, I mean, they could easily be duped into thinking. And as you said, soccer is not football. I mean, they're two completely different games. And if you're trying to make that equation, you're probably watching with a very foolish perspective. All right, that's number 5. Number 4.
Number 4, people of Madrid, people of Spain. I don't want to see you to make the same mistakes a number of European fans have made going to the NFL game for the first time. Explain to you that if somebody's kicking in football, that means the team failed. Okay. I don't want you to do this because every time I watch a game in Europe, everybody freaks out every time someone comes out and kicks a ball because, oh my God, our sports, everybody kicks a ball and somebody's kicking a ball. Oh my God, we got to get really excited. A ball's about to be kicked. No, you don't. When someone's kicking a ball in football, that means it's time to go get a beer. Go take a bathroom break if you need to. We don't get excited about the kicking plays. The kicking plays mean either you're punting, which means you failed to get a first down. You're kicking a field goal, which means you failed to score a touchdown. You're kicking off, which is now the most it used to be an exciting play, but now it's like the most boring play in the sports. Thanks to this new stupid NFL kickoff rule that they've instituted. The only time kicking is good, basically, is the extra point. And honestly, they never miss those. So,
Yes.
and it's just about virtually impossible to actually block something, an extra point these days. So there are no exciting kicking plays. There's no time to get really, really happy about a kicking play.
Yeah, the people do get jacked up thinking, oh, yeah, that's our game right there. All right, number 4. Number 3.
Number 3, again, Spain. I went to a Real Madrid game just this summer when the FIFA Club Cup was playing over here in America. I didn't really get it, although I will admit a lot of attractive people in the stands.
Yes.
Um,
That would be
but
the only reason to go, though.
I went to the Real Madrid Juventus game down here where Mbappe made his comeback. Far as I could tell, all he did was run around for 25 minutes. I'm not even sure he touched the ball in 25 minutes. But all anybody did was scream at Mbappe running for 25 minutes. But we know you send your best. You send Real Madrid. You send Barcelona. I think we even had in El Clasico the matchup between Real and Barcelona down here about 10 years ago or so when they were doing their tours. But, yeah, we didn't send you our best this time. We didn't send you Real Madrid or Barca. We sent you Valencia. We
Yes.
sent you two teams that were relevant 30 or 40 years ago, or in Dolphins' case, closer to 50 at this point. And now we're at the bottom of the standings, or as you would call them, the tables. Yeah, we're not sending our best effort. The guys you thought were going to play in this game, you notice here the little graphic, Tyreek Hill and Jaden Daniels. Well, yeah, neither of them are playing.
No.
They both have broken parts at this point in the year. Sorry, I guess. I mean, basically, we are sending you this game because we don't want to wake up and have to watch this at 9:30 in the morning.
Bottom level dreck, no doubt about it. All right, that's
It's
number
like
2.
that last stupid Las Vegas F1 race where they
Yes,
started at like 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever, 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever the hell it is.
sure.
Yeah, because we don't want to watch it because we don't really care about F1 racing. And while we do care about NFL football, we don't really care about these games. Both these teams are hopeless. So
Our hometown team is involved in this thing, and we could care less. So that's number 3. Not exactly the cream of the crop going over there to Madrid to contest this NFL game. Number 2.
number 2, and I realize that soccer hooliganism is a bigger thing in some of the other European markets than it really is in Spain. It's not a huge culture in Spain the way it is in England or Germany and a couple other European nations. But I do know that they do have some soccer hooligans over in Spain. And
Sure.
as a public service announcement, let me warn you, soccer hooligans, don't let looks get you into trouble with this one. Don't look at these large men in pig faces and dresses and think, oh, it's time for a fight. This is not a group of men you want to mess with. These are large, angry men who have been angry for a decade just because the NFL won't let them continue to call their team by their favorite racial slur. That's how angry these people are.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with these guys.
And those who soccer hooligans, like from what I've seen, like there's a heavy organization to how the fighting works. Like they go outside the stadium in their little fight club things and and have a very organized deal. That's not how fights in NFL stadiums work. The way fights in NFL stadiums work is people get pushed over those hard chairs, like
Yeah.
break their legs, break their backs, guys get thrown over the rows. And if you're anywhere near a stadium fight during a football game, everybody's involved in the fight. You're going to end up in the fight just because you were 4 rows away from the people fighting. That's just like somebody's going to accidentally throw a beer in your face or on
Sure.
your wife, and you're going to have to punch him. It is total chaos. There's no organization to it. There's no rules to it like there seems to be in soccer hooliganism. You don't want none of this steam. Trust me, soccer hooligans.
No,
It's a totally different game.
you don't want to fuck with these guys, especially the guys with the pig faces. All right, that's number 2. Topping the list of solid advice here, relevant advice for the Spaniards who are going to be watching this football game. Number 1 is?
Number 1 is I don't want to hear this out of anybody, and it drives me crazy with the European fans. Every time there's a football game over there, in America, we have fought wars so we don't have to use the goddamn metric system. All right? The metric system is for loser countries who are bad at wars, just as Canada, who loves the metric system, and we took their Stanley Cup away 30 years ago and have never given it back. Okay? We don't want to hear about, oh, that was a 42.5 meter kick. No, it was a 45-yard field goal. It's not 4th and 4 centimeters. It's 4th and an inch or 4th and 2 inches. We don't play that metric system crap. That's for loser countries who have to, do things our way. And when you're at a football game, don't talk about the metric system. It's not 1st and 6 meters or 4 meters or whatever the hell it is. And you notice by these measurements, I haven't even bothered to learn what the equivalent is. I have no idea how many meters are in 10 yards, and I don't care because America plays by our own rules. And look, we've been to war over this before, so we can keep using feet and yard and pounds. And under this president, we might just do it again. So don't go trying to bring the metric system into the game of football.
I felt good. I thought the scale was broken at the doctor's office. I was going to get away with one yesterday because I weighed in at 96
kilos.
Wow, I haven't been under 100 in a long, long time. But it was kilos. I thought I was going overseas to fight Carl Froch. I mean,
we don't do that crap in this country.
Professor, always a pleasure.
Our running backs aren't, 90 kilos or 16 stone or whatever the hell it is you measure in.
Kind of stupid, yeah.
We keep our own measurements in America, and we're going to continue to do that.
I was so disappointed to find out I was 211. All right.
211 ain't bad.
No, that was good for me. I mean, at one time I was weighing in at like 262. So.
That cookie diet worked.
It wasn't that, but the walk of life certainly has been helpful. Professor, always a pleasure. Good luck with all of your plays, and we'll talk to you again next week. Thanks so much for being with us here on the show.
Everyone have a great one, and enjoy the Dolphins game in Spain at 9:30. Or better yet, don't and sleep late.
Yeah, no, good idea, especially laying a 2 and a hook, which if we recommend that on this show, then there's a good chance you'll prosper if you go the other way. All right, always a pleasure, Professor. Thanks so much for being with us.
You have a great one, Deef.
Professor, ladies and gentlemen. All right, now to wrap up the week, we hope we hit something. I did like the Dolphins in that game, laying the 2 and a hook. But then when you see the consensus of 8 out of 10 handicappers in my New York Post grid here, all on the side of the Dolphins, and with sound logic, why I'm not a big Marcus Mariota fan. I mean, he's okay. Guy's been in the league a long time. It doesn't necessarily excite me. At least the Finns have won 2 of their last 3. The loss in between was somewhat inexplicable, but nonetheless looked very sharp in beating the Buffalo Bills, who at the time were regarded by many as the best team. Not just in the AFC, but maybe even in the league. That was quickly refuted and fell flat on its face. But against the Commanders are 0 for their last 5 straight up and 0 for the last 5 against the spread. So either something needs an immediate and improbable reversal, or laying a field goal or less than that in this case with the Miami Dolphins might be good. But far be it from us to recommend that you follow our selections this week. Hopefully we'll shake things up over the weekend, come back strong for you next week, and good luck with all your plays and all your wagers, regardless of what sport you're dabbling in. For the Professor, I'm Jeff DeForrest. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Bury Your Bookie.